So, ground rules, okay? What I mean when I'm talking about design is there's going to be a few factors, right? To me, the actual portrait, like the model of the character is going to be a minor factor. It's going to be considered. So the biggest factors are going to be the kit, the voice lines, everything, because a lot of the models are not final. And so I think that judging them on their models is not really like great, right? Like I think it's a factor, but it's a minor factor. So mostly just like overall design, you know, the type of like the aura they have, how their abilities feel, right? Like the most important thing to me is going to be their abilities, the way the hero feels to play, the way the hero feels to play against, and all these things. And just because a hero doesn't feel good to play against doesn't mean that they're necessarily a bad design, to be clear. A lot of heroes in MOBAs don't feel good to play against. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and I'll try to provide my rationales for everything. Another ground rule is I will not be ordering heroes within tiers. So I usually don't like ordering tiers themselves. So like, you know, heroes within a tier will be similar to each other, in my opinion. Starting off with Abrams. Now, Abrams' design is, I would say that Abrams in many ways is the face of Deadlock. Now, a lot of people have claimed the title of the face of Deadlock. I think Abrams is the face of Deadlock more than any other hero or person. You know, it's actually, we don't need content creators to be the face of Deadlock. It's Abrams. Now, Abrams, I would say, is a very straightforward tank character, right? There's nothing particularly innovative about Abrams. It's something that we've all seen. It's a tank that goes in there, that has CC, he has crowd control, he has stuns, and he's, you know, kind of a drain tank, meaning he gets in there and he drains other people's health with Siphon Life, and, you know, he can throw melees, and I would say that he's kind of like the quintessential frontliner of this game. When you think of a frontliner, you think of Abrams. Like, you know, there's not really, like, you always, like, Abrams has always been played as a frontliner, always will be played as a frontliner. As far as design, his abilities, to me, flow very well together. All of his abilities make sense one with another, right? Like, Siphon Life is a close-range ability. Charge and his ultimate allow you to set up for Siphon Life. They allow you to set up for melees, and they allow you to get in people's faces, right? You get stuns to set up your melees in both Charge and your ultimate, and your passive is just something that essentially just makes you tankier, which allows you to get in there. So all of his kit works together in harmony. It's very clear what you're supposed to do on the hero. In my opinion, I don't think that his design is outstanding, but I think he has a very solid design. As far as the model, the aura, everything, I think Abrams is really cool. I think he looks cool. Like, obviously, it's not a huge factor for me, but he is one of the only finished models in the game as well. At least finished as far as we know. I think he looks really good, and I think he's a solid pick for face of the game. So I think that if every hero was as solid of a design as Abrams, the game would be in a better place. Not that the game's in a bad place at all. I think that Deadlock has a lot of sauce. But Abrams, I think, is A tier instead of S tier because it's not, there's nothing amazing to me about Abrams. There's nothing that's like, wow, this is like super cool. He's just basic, but basic good, not in a bad way. So Apollo is a hero that has been tormented with a lot of changes ever since his release. Now, what I want to say is pretty much all of the new heroes, all of the heroes that have been added in like the last like year, essentially. So in the last two big updates, have had a lot of what I would call sauce. So sauce essentially means that the way that I would define sauce, which is a term that's used to just be like, a lot of people will say like, oh, Valve games have sauce. The way that I would define that is just they've got character. So they're unique in some ways. Like their gameplay loop is very unique or very interesting. And I think Apollo, and like for example, Apollo's like ultimate is like so fucking cool to use. When Apollo was released, I saw Apollo Ultimate and I was like, oh my god, this is literally an anime ult. It's so cool. It's so cool. I think Apollo is really, really cool. However, it's hard for me to put Apollo in outstanding designs because there's been so many issues as to how Valve wants the character to be played. So Apollo's in a bit of a weird spot where he's a little bit between, I think now it's a lot better. Like he could be a contender for outstanding. He's really, really well designed. I would say like at the very minimum solid. The reason why I'm a little bit hesitant on outstanding design is because they've kind of hesitated on his identity between like, you know, kind of like a spirit assassin and other things. I will say his abilities do synergize well together. Like Riposte allows you to close the gap, which allows you to hit your 1 and your 3 and your ult, right? So it makes a lot of sense. Your ult does more damage when enemies are below half HP, similar to a Vindicta, and your other abilities, right, are not really that good at finishing people off. So getting your ult, you can stun someone with Riposte. However, the fact that he has like a 2-second stun, it does feel a little out of place, and it kind of feels like Riposte is less about riposting strong abilities and more about like riposting literally anything and just insta stunning someone. for 2 seconds. That's really the only reason that I don't know if I would put his kit as outstanding. I think that the way that Riposte has been treated is a little, I still think they don't really know what they want to do with Riposte. So I'm putting him in solid designs. Bebop. Everybody knows I have a huge bias against Bebop. I hate Bebop. Does Bebop need to be looked at? Honestly, he might. Now, here's the things about Bebop. Does Bebop's kit have synergy? Yes, sort of, right? Bebop has like this weird thing where his abilities do work together. Like Hook allows you to, you can hook, uppercut, hook. It's got that synergy as well. Sticky Bomb is like a close range ability, so you need to hook them to be able to use that. Your ultimate doesn't really synergize with the rest of your kit, but it's something that's unique to the hero. He can go into the skybox and pop his giant beam. I think the ultimate's kind of boring, but I mean, you do get to shoot a giant laser of doom, so why not? Now, the thing that I hate the most is the hook. Do we really need a hook in 2026, right? Like, do we really need a hook? Like, I feel like we've moved on from the hook. Like, I feel like not every game needs a hook character. I personally hate the hook. I don't know a lot of people that like the hook, but obviously Bebop mains like the hook. So, it's an archetype that is very standard in MOBAs that clearly some people want to play. So I don't have a huge issue with it existing. I just hate it personally. Now, the thing that I hate most about Hook is how he gets 2 hooks. He gets a refresh on his hook with uppercut. So I hate like getting hooked and then using a lot of resources to get away from the hook and then getting hooked again. To me, that doesn't feel good. He's also had many instances where he hooks you and then solo kills you. Generally speaking, I think if there's a hook character, it should be very hard for the hook character to follow up on kills alone, but Deadlock is quite a unique game that is very fast-paced. At the end of the day, for Bebop's character design, I also think Bebop feels a little bit clunky. And I don't think he's generally like a beloved design. I think that as far as personality wise, his voice lines, all that stuff, he's nice, but unfortunately he did beat LASH in the bear pit. So we're going to have to knock him down a peg for that. I would say that, look, my bias is going to put him in D tier. Now I'm going to put him in D tier. That's my bias. Okay. I don't like him at all, but I understand why he would need to be in the game and why people like him. I understand, but I'm putting him in D tier. This is my tier list after all. Now, Billy is one of the most recent frontliners that was added, right? He was added actually, it's almost been a year since Billy was added. Isn't that insane, guys? Billy was added like 11 months ago. That's crazy. The thing about Billy is I think Billy's kit works really, really well together. Right, a little bit like Abrams. I think frontliners are easy to make kits that, like, making a frontliner kit is pretty easy to make it work together, right? Like Rising Ram gets you in there. Bash down works after Rising Ram. Bash down works after your ult. Your 3 works with your 1, which is bash down. And he has a kit that is centered around melee. And I think that the idea of rewarding a hero for landing melees was something that was not really explored much when Billy was added to the game. And I think he brought that. And I think that that's really cool. And the itemization against Billy is cool. And the different playstyles that Billy can have, I think, are also cool. I also think that from a pure design perspective, this is not a huge factor for me, but I do still feel like I need to mention it. Like, he eats his magazine, like he literally chomps down on his mag. That's pretty cool. And he's a goat, right? Like, he's a literal goat. That's also pretty cool. Like, he's kind of a punk goat. I think that he's really cool and he's a ton of fun to play. I just played a game of Billy earlier. Never played him before, or haven't played him in like 6 months, and he was really fun. For all these reasons, I think Billy's got the sauce. I think you pick Billy and it's like, if you're a frontline player, Billy's gonna feel amazing to play. He's not a boring frontliner. Like, he's kind of like Abrams is like, can be a little bit boring because he's so straightforward. I think that Billy is like the sauced up version of Abrams. Like, he's got the sauce for sure. So I'm going to put Billy in S tier, outstanding designs, for both his gameplay and his visual design. I think that the only thing where you can really dock points from Billy is that the bash down ability feels incredibly buggy to play against. Other than that, I think that everything else is fine. Really, the biggest drawback is like playing against Billy. The bash down ability feels terrible to play into. But like I said, I think that a lot of abilities don't feel good to play into. Like, being perma-stunned by Abrams doesn't feel good. Being riposte stunned by Apollo doesn't feel good. There's a ton of abilities that feel really bad to get hit by. And I don't think bash down is that egregious compared to other abilities in the game. So for that reason, I think Billy, I'm going to keep him in S tier. I think outstanding design, one of the best heroes that's been released in the game, in my opinion. He's got the sauce. Feels awesome to play, very clear identity, etc. Now, Calico is interesting because this hero for a long time was just like giga broken on release, right? Like, this hero was completely broken, and this hero was basically a tank assassin. So she was a hero that was unkillable and also one-shot you, and that felt really, really bad. And on top of that, her kit felt really clunky. Leaping slash always went a fixed distance, right? You couldn't aim leaping slash really. It always went the same distance no matter what. So you needed to do some janky movement to adjust it. You couldn't leaping slash straight in the air. You needed to jump before that. You couldn't move during your ultimate. So you would get stuck on like surfaces that were elevated and stuff like that. And overall, when she released, I probably would have put her at B tier. But now I think that they've really figured out Calico's identity, which is she is fully an assassin now. She's no longer a tank. I think that she is really fun. I think the cat form is awesome. It feels really good to move around the map in cat form, and it's cool that you're not seeing on the mini map. Like the cat form makes a lot of sense with her kit. The only thing that I would dock points from is kind of like the order of gloom bombs and leaping slash, where it feels a little awkward, like which order you're supposed to use them in. That's really the only thing that I could like dock points from her kit like synergy. I think her ultimate makes a ton of sense. I think leaping slash makes a ton of sense with her kit. I love the fact that she's got some melee damage and she's incentivized to do that. She feels really good to play. And yes, she can feel bad to play against for sure, but I don't think she feels worse to play against than any other hero. And she's inherently a snowball hero. If a Calico's behind, she's not going to do anything to you. Whereas a Billy or Abrams or even an Apollo that's behind still has potential. Calico really is pretty useless when she doesn't have money. Gloom bombs really is the only ability that is like just pretty weird. I think leaping slash, the cat form, and the ultimate are like really, really solid design. So I'm going to put Calico in A tier. I don't think that she has what it takes to be S tier design, but I think she's like a very, very solid design. Now, Celeste. Celeste is one of my favorite heroes in Deadlock. I love Celeste. I haven't played her recently, I know, but I think Celeste is awesome. Celeste has a kit that is 100% synergistic. Every ability works with each other. So her third ability does damage in an AoE, and it also gives her Spirit Amp. And it also amps her Unicorn Horn. Visually, that's got the visual sauce, right? Her one gives her extra damage on her left click, that is Spirit, and it also gives her Spirit lifesteal on the target that she uses it on. Her shield allows her to go in close so that she can use her one, right? So she can tank a little bit of damage. Her ultimate also, makes a lot of sense with everything else. It gets amped by her 3. It can bounce off of her shield if you max it. There's a lot of sauce there. So all of her abilities work really well together, and the movement on this hero feels amazing. Really, the only thing, the movement, the animations, the abilities, everything about this hero feels really, really, really good. The only thing that feels bad is sometimes playing against her, the movement can be so crazy when you're playing against a good Celeste that it can be extremely frustrating. However, I think that they've reached a point with her where the balance is mostly fine. I would say, if anything, she's a little weak right now. And when she's not like giga overtuned, I think that she's one of the best designed heroes in the game. Now, obviously, when she's strong, I think any hero when they're too strong just feels really bad. I think a lot of people might not say that she's S+ tier, but I think she's S tier. I think that she is one of the best designs in the game. I think her kit has a lot of sauce. It's really fun to use. It feels really good. You can do huge damage, but you can also be countered. She's got, clear strengths, clear weaknesses. Like, she's very vulnerable to CC, and there's not much she can do if she gets CC'd. But she's got amazing movement, great AoE damage. She just feels really fun to play. Doorman. Doorman is interesting because I think that people are putting Doorman either S tier or D tier. I don't think there's in between. I don't think that there's any in between. I don't think anyone would put Doorman A tier, B tier, or C tier. Like, I don't think anyone would say, oh yeah, Doorman's a pretty solid design, or he's fine, or he doesn't feel great. I think that everyone is going to say, yeah, his design is outstanding, or his design needs to be looked at. And there was a survey some time ago that said, what's your your favorite character, and what's your most hated character, or something like that. And I think Doorman won like both. So like, he's both like extremely loved, and he's also extremely hated. Before I put Doorman in the tier that I think I'm going to put him in, I want to say some things. I think that Doorman is really cool. I don't think that there's anything that you can take away from it. The idea of placing these doors in a team MOBA and, getting synergy with your team is like, it's an awesome idea, and it's cool. Like, you're getting literally Portal in a MOBA. Like, that's fucking dope, right? Like, what other MOBAs have done that? In Dota, you've got the Underlord Portal, but the Underlord Portal is not anywhere near as fast or flexible as the Doorman door. Like, the Doorman door, especially in a game as fast-paced as Deadlock, is really cool. However, my problem with Doorman is primarily that he does too much. So here's the thing. My problem with Doorman is not his design. My problem with Doorman is the amount of damage with the amount of utility that he has. I think that Doorman is just OP, and he's overtuned, and therefore that clouds everyone's vision. I think genuinely, from a design perspective, I'm putting Doorman in S outstanding design. But I think a lot of people are going to say D tier, but that's just because he's OP. I think that the design is like, this hero's got the sauce. Like, to me, outstanding designs is like a design of a hero that's going to make people come to this game. I think Doorman makes people come to Deadlock. I genuinely think that Doorman is a hero that draws people in. And I know that this might be an unpopular opinion, but his balance is awful. Okay, the balance is awful for this character, and he's very, very hard to balance. Right now, I think people hate him because he's just not balanced. He's just OP. It's just the way it is. But I think design-wise, he's got the sauce. He does. That's basically it. I would nerf his damage output. His damage output is just too much. But at the same time, if he does no damage, he feels really bad to play because people don't use your utility in matchmaking. So it's tough. Next hero, Drifter. The Drifter. So this hero was added in August, so almost a year ago again. So we've had a lot of versions of this hero. We've had OP Gun Drifter versions. We've had ult Drifter spam support with Refresher and double ult. We've seen Spirit Drifter with maxing his 2. We've basically seen it all. We've seen every type of build possible in this hero. Drifter's vibe, I would say, is S tier. I think that his abilities work really well together, and I think that his 2 is probably one of the most underrated abilities with what you can do with it on the map. I genuinely think that we have not seen people use the 2 creatively enough yet, right? Like, I think that the rotation potential with lineups and everything on Stalker's Mark, the way you can use it for escapes, the way you can do so many things with that ability, and I think that it's probably like there's a lot left to be explored on that ability, and I think it's really cool. Now, Rend is pretty much just a standard close range nuke, nothing special about it. His 3 is isolate, so he isolates targets. And doesn't isolate target, but he does more damage to isolated targets. And then his ultimate makes people blind, right? They can't see anything. I think his kit works well together. I think he's fun to play, but I don't think that he's got like that little secret element, right? Like, I don't think there's anything about it. Like my favorite thing about him is probably his 2 Stalker's Mark, which I think is like super underrated and like how cool it can be and how it can be used. But I find it hard to put him on the same tier as these characters, which to me are like really, really nice. He's also a little freaky, right? He's a little freaky. I mean, look, he's a little freaky. We're gonna give him that. So in my opinion, I don't think Drifter is like a better design than any of these heroes. And I also think that the ultimate is probably one of the most frustrating ultimates to play again in the against in the game. Like I said, that's not a huge factor because a lot of abilities are frustrating to play against. But there's only 2 counters to his ultimate, which are 1 is iframes or counterspell, so you can dodge it or you can counterspell it, and 2 is divine barrier. And if you don't have those, you are blind. And in a game with matchmaking where you might not have any communication, you know, it's really, really, it can be really frustrating, really debilitating. So I'm gonna put Drifter in A. I don't think he has as much sauce as some of the S tier heroes that are really, really cool, but I think he's still like a cool, well-designed character. Like, I would be happy to have more characters like Drifter. No problem. Dynamo is interesting. Dynamo is the big team fight guy, right? He's got arguably, like, in some situations, he's got I'm pretty sure it's the longest cooldown ultimate in the entire game. Like, it gets nerfed every patch as far as the cooldown goes. Like, the cooldown is like literally like 5 minutes at this point or something like that. Now, as far as his gameplay loop, let's talk about his abilities synergy. So his 1 to me is a very generic shockwave that doesn't feel that amazing to use from experience. Like, it's very janky. It like goes around corners weirdly. It's a little weird to me, but obviously if you hit like a big one, it can be super satisfying as well, right? Like, if you got Spirit Burn, Tank Buster, you hit a big one, boom, big explosion. But it's a very standard Spirit nuke that is quite janky, to be honest. So I don't think that ability is like great design. Now, his 2 Quantum Entanglement, I think, is one of the most like underrated and underused abilities in the game. So for those of you that are Dota players, which there's probably not a lot of you, but all 5 Dota players in the chat, you may remember that it took quite a long time in Dota for people to realize how powerful Tusk Snowball was. And for Tusk Snowball, which is basically a weaker version of Quantum Entanglement, it took a while for it to be like, oh shit, like this ability is really good as a support ability. Quantum Entanglement to me is kind of that. I think that we have not reached the potential of Dynamo at all. I think that people are not using Quantum Entanglement very well at all. There's so many cool things you can do with this. You can save people through walls, like literally. You can save people through walls. You can debug, you can like remove stuff. You can dodge ultimates. You can displace people. Doesn't it give them a charge if you max it too? And it's like literally like an 8 or 10 second cooldown. It's yeah, you can take people out of Kelvin ult. Like, there's so much stuff that you can do with this. I think the 3 is like probably one of the worst feeling heals in the game. I really don't like Dynamo 3 because it locks you out of so many things. It doesn't really feel good. When you max it and you can do everything during the heal, then it feels good. But before maxing it, it just feels so like meh, you know? Like I don't really think there's anything special about it. It's just like a really standard AoE heal that actually locks you out of like doing a lot of things. So it feels kind of really bad to use in my opinion. And his ultimate, I mean, his ultimate is so fucking cool. His ultimate, when you use his ultimate, you feel the power. Obviously, if you get hit by a black hole, you feel like, but at the same time, at a high level of play, there's enough counters to black hole for singularity, for it to be like, you can outplay it, right? So obviously there's situations like in the mid pit where it's really hard to do anything against it. But in most fights, there's things that you can do. You can position for it. You can buy curse. Obviously, you can buy unstoppable. You can buy unstoppable yourself. You can buy cheat death. You can rescue beam people out of it. There's a lot of things. So I think that the ultimate is great design. Now the abilities, I think the ultimate and quantum entanglement are awesome. I think his heal and his 1 are not great. I think they're kind of whatever. I don't love them design wise. So therefore, I think Dynamo is a B tier. I think he's a fine design. I think that there's something left to explore with his design. I understand why a lot of people would like this hero. And I think he's got the sauce and certain abilities, but others just feel a little lacking to me as far as like how cool they are or how nice they feel to use. So, you know, I think it's just B tier. Like it's good. It's fine. But nothing special to me. Oh, Graves. Graves is a summoner hero in a game that is also kind of a shooter. Now, right away, that's going to be unpopular with a lot of people. Also, she is a hero that auto-aims in a game that is also a shooter. That's also going to be unpopular with a lot of people. Now, let's talk about her kit a little bit. Like, how much synergy does her kit have together? How good does it feel to use? So, a lot of her abilities don't really synergize that well together from my experience. Like her 3 basically doesn't synergize at all with any of her other abilities until you like max it, and then your minions can also apply your 3. But also the 3, when you think about it, it's like, okay, it reduces weapon damage of the target that you're draining essentially, and it gives you spirit resistance. However, the thing about gaining resistance is that Graves is like very squishy, like one of the squishiest, lowest mobilities here in the game. And so getting resistance doesn't really feel super helpful unless you're like really, really late game. Her skulls don't really feel like they synergize with the rest of her kit at all. But at the same time, you could argue that they do in the sense that she is an area control character, right? At the end of the day, that is what she is designed around, is controlling an area. So if you enter in Graves' domain, you are going to take a lot of damage. You're going to get hit by zombies, skulls. There's going to be a wall. She controls a character. There's a lot of issues that I have with Graves' kit. First of all, Graves is a hero that will never be allowed to be good, in my opinion. Like, every time Graves is good, she gets instantly nerfed. Now, how do we feel about that? I don't know. And the reason why that is because anytime that she's good at a high level, she's just completely broken at a low level because the ease of execution on the character is very, very high. Like, it's very easy to have some impact on the character. I would say that I would put her C tier. I think that she can be really fun to play, and I actually like her a lot. However, I think that she has a lot of situations in which she doesn't feel good to play, and she doesn't feel good to play against either. Her design is really cool, like her vibe and all that stuff is really cool. But unfortunately, I think in most games, it's just, it's a character that, it's an archetype that like people want, right? And it's good because players that have really bad mechanical skill can play Graves and still succeed in this MOBA. I don't think it feels great. I think I'm putting her C tier. Now, Grey Talon. So Grey Talon is basically like a sniper long range type hero that has 4 stamina, and he's got a trap that, let's talk about his kit synergy, right? So he's got a nuke that you can throw long range, and it's a spirit damage. It does a lot of spirit damage with this one. His 2 allows him to fly and, do extra weapon damage and also have extra mobility. His 3 is a trap that curses, and one thing that's cool about the trap is you can shoot it with the arrow. You can shoot your trap in the air, and you can shoot it with the arrow, and you can activate the trap midair. I think that's really cool. And his bird is basically a spirit execute, where it'll kill people but below a certain threshold if you max it. But it's a global ult as well, because the bird can go anywhere on the map. So you can make it through the entire map, so it's a global ultimate. I think his abilities are pretty cool. Where I think Grey Talon kind of lacks a little bit is I think that he can feel a bit like, I think he feels good to play for the most part, like quite good. You are like, you have some weaknesses. The one problem I have is like, he's basically like a sniper character with like 4 stamina. I don't really feel like, you know, that's great. Other than that, like, yeah, the thing about Great Talon is I don't really think he has much sauce. I think he's kind of just like, he's kind of just fine. He's got 4 stamina as a sniper. That's kind of cancer. He's got like a really like, you know, when he's really strong, feels really unfun to play against. And he gets nerfed, and it's like this character is not allowed to be like amazing very often. He also has below average fall off range, which is a good point. Like he's a sniper, quote unquote, but he has below average fall off range. So like a lot of his kit like kind of makes some sense together, but is also kind of weird. So I'm putting him in B tier. I think he's just fine. Okay, Haze. This Haze character is basically, this Haze character has gone through a lot of cycles. Now, Haze has gone through the cycles of being kind of a backline carry, where she's just traditional carry type hero, where she farms the whole game, and then, you know, she gets to 40 to 50,000 souls and she kills your team. She's gone through the cycle where she is a Ricochet ult buyer, where you go ult max, you buy Ricochet, and then you show up and you kill everyone. She's gone through being just a normal pick character, where you just like, you know, you buy like slowing hex, slowing bullets, you roam around the map, you play for kills, and you play tempo. And now, right now, she is a double dagger echo shard abuser, and she's a pick hero. So one thing that I think Valve has leaned towards is they've leaned towards her pick identity a lot more than her carry identity. So I genuinely, like, I don't think Haze has been able to be played as a carry for a long time. I think that her, like, she can be a carry maybe in very low ranks where people, like, don't go on you. But other than that, she is clearly, like, they're trying to make her way more of a pick character. Similar to, like, invisible characters in other MOBAs, like a Riki, for example, in Dota. So she's definitely a pick character. I think that her ultimate feels kind of really lame. You know, like, I don't think anyone actually really likes her ultimate. But synergy-wise, it does kind of make some sense because it's a solo kill ultimate. So she's an assassin pick type hero that allows you to sleep someone, and then you can ult them, and, you know, you kill them. At the end of the day, you know, like, her kit makes sense together, right? Like, especially now that Dagger applies fixation, it makes even more sense. You've got Dagger to sleep people. You've got fixation, which leads you to do more damage. Now, the thing about fixation on this character, I will say it's a little weird, because fixation is something that would make you think, like, oh, you want to spend a lot of time shooting people. But in reality, she's much more of a burst character. So it's a little weird, but at the same time, you know, I don't have a huge problem with it. I think most people thought that she was going to be more of a carry because of fixation, kind of back in the day. She was compared a lot to like a character like Ursa, for example, from Dota. Now, having invisibility in a MOBA is very, very, very strong, but Haze is not the only person that gets access to invisibility, and I think that that's why it doesn't feel that bad. It's because basically everyone can have invisibility if you just buy Veilwalker or the other gun item that I forget, Shadow Weave. If you buy Veilwalker or Shadow Weave, everyone can have invisibility, which I think makes Haze's invisibility not super problematic. The one thing that she can do that nobody else can do is she can use items while invisible. For me, Haze, I think, is like, I think she's fine. I think a lot of people are going to say that she's a problem because of Echo Shard Dagger. I don't know if that's a Haze problem specifically. It might be more of an Echo Shard problem. It's like slightly like, you know, Echo Shard like amplifies small problems. I will say that the Haze build feels very uninteractive, both as the player that plays Haze and as the player that is against it. So I'm putting her in B tier. I think she's fine. Like, I don't think she's like, wow, this hero is like amazing design. I don't think she feels really that bad. I think she's B tier. Now, Holliday. Oh, Holliday. Holliday is one of the movement characters, one of the first like movement characters that was added to the game, really. When you think about the original movement characters that were part of the cast, right? We had LASH was basically one of the characters with the most movement in the game at the time. And then they added a lot of movement characters kind of at once, where they added Holliday, Sinclair, and Vyper, who all have like, and Calico, who all have like quite a lot of mobility. And that's really where we started having the mobility creep in Deadlock, to the point where we're at right now, where they've added more and more heroes with mobility. I think that Holliday's kit synergy, for example, I think the jump pad extension on Lasso is really cool. Like, that's good design. Like, you lasso, you jump pad, it gives you a small extension. There's a lot of tech on the hero. I think they made the barrels maybe a little too easy, but like they're like, the barrels are like kind of guaranteed now. Like, you basically, it's really, really hard to miss barrels. So I'm not sure how much I love that. One of my biggest problems with Holliday is crack shot. So I think crack shot for Holliday just like it doesn't really feel like it makes a lot of sense with the character. It's always felt bad. If it's too strong, it's a problem. It doesn't really feel like it synergizes with any of the other abilities, right? So you know, it feels like a filler ability that they just kind of gave her, like, oh, she can have crack shot. We don't have any better ideas. So in my opinion, that's kind of like the biggest problem I have with her kit. The rest of it is very synergistic, works together. The barrels knock people up, which allows you to hit lasso, right? You can barrel people after you lasso them. You can use your jump pad after you lasso people to essentially kidnap someone. So all of that stuff makes a lot of sense together. I don't like crack shot. I think that overall, she's fine. I wouldn't put her in like amazing design or anything. I think she's just fine. She feels good to play, yes. I don't think she's as well designed as some of the heroes in A tier. I would say, like, if you have like one ability that to me doesn't really make a lot of sense, I'm putting you in B tier. Infernus. Okay, so Infernus is a hero that has Afterburn. The hero is centered around Afterburn, his passive, which makes it so when he shoots bullets, he applies Afterburn, and it builds up. All of his abilities refresh Afterburn, including his ultimate. So his ultimate also refreshes Afterburn. So I think from a synergy perspective, all of his abilities work together just by that nature. And his abilities make sense together thematically, right? Like very fire oriented. You've got, you know, the flame dash, you've got the napalm on his one, you've got the concussive combustion. All of these abilities work well together thematically. They work well together gameplay wise. And I also think that he occupies like a very clear kind of like space. He's kind of like, he's a hero that is also a bit of a skill check, meaning like when he's really strong, especially when the flame dash build is strong at lower ranks, people really struggle at lower ranks because they don't know how to move well. And if you don't know how to wall jump a lot and essentially stay off the ground, flame dash is like incredibly powerful. And this was particularly true like anytime we have big AoE objectives, like, you know, with the King of the Hill urn or something like that, it can become problems. Like in mid pit, it can be super strong. Overall, I think the hero has a clear playstyle. I think the hero has clear counters, and I wouldn't be upset having more heroes like Infernus. So I think Infernus is a solid design. I think he's kind of just standard character. Not standard, like he's solid. He's a solid character. He's got a solid kit that works together. He's fun to play, and his thematically and visually, his design is cool. I like him. I will say that I believe his old profile picture, his old like icon had more aura, so he lost some aura. Okay, Ivy. Ivy is a bit of a jack of all trades character. Now let's talk about synergy. So a lot of her kit is synergistic. So for example, her kudzu connection, her tether for 2, synergizes with Stoneform, right? Because you can heal and you can give that heal to somebody else as well. Her ultimate can also synergize with the rest of her kit because it allows her to move around the map, and it also allows her to land Stoneform if you have Vortex Web. It used to allow her to land Stoneform. It used to be slightly more synergistic, but that was a little bit too powerful. She's a character. One of the things that is going for Ivy, in my opinion, is that she's a character that even when she's really strong, she doesn't feel bad to play against, in my opinion. It's pretty rare that I've played against Ivy and I'm like, wow, this feels really, really horrible to play against. Obviously, there's sometimes where it happens, but I feel like everything that she does, you can do something about. And like, even though she's really strong right now, for example, I don't think it's really that bad to deal with. Like, it doesn't feel super frustrating. She has an invulnerability frame in Stoneform, which is really really good for the character. And I think that the 1 is like a pretty generic, like kind of like AoE ability, but it feels really good because it gives her like more macro management. And considering that she has her ultimate and she can move around the map, I think it is synergistic to her kit because it allows her to deal with waves, and then she can move around the map very quickly with her ultimate. I think that Ivy is also one of the most beloved characters in the game. Like, I think a lot of people love Ivy. I don't know if you guys remember, but like there was like a big like argument about Ivy's design. So I think based on all these things, I'm putting Ivy in S tier. I think that there's generally people that play the game just for Ivy. I think that she draws people to the game. I think that her kit is very fun, very enjoyable, and I've never really had a problem with her. So I think she's S tier. More than solid design, I would say outstanding. She's very, very well designed, especially for one of the characters that was added to the game like really, really early, right? Like, this character was in the base cast of the game. I don't think there's a lot of base cast characters that are outstanding design. Now, Kelvin. Kelvin is the Frozen Man, Frozen of Deadlock. Kelvin's kit, as far as synergy, it works together. Like, he's very ice themed, kind of like the opposite of Infernus, right? You got a fire character, you got an ice character. I think he is fun. I think his gun can be a bit clunky. He's a little bit, you know, bulky and all that stuff. But I think Dome is like a well-designed ability where it's like, it's very strong. But you know, you have to get really, really close to use it. So I don't think it's a problem. Now, does Kelvin have the sauce? Does Kelvin feel really that great to play? I think even when Kelvin's good, I don't really think he feels that amazing to play. I do think they made it a lot better when they made it so you could like cast abilities during like, you could like cast Ice Beam while moving on the ice path while also throwing grenades and all that stuff. So I think that that made it a lot better. But overall, I'm not too impressed with Kelvin. I think he's fairly generic. Doesn't feel that fun to me. I'm putting him in B tier. He's just fine. I think he's just fine. Like, he's not a bad design. Like, I don't think he doesn't feel great, but I think he's just fine. Like, would I be upset if we got another Kelvin? No, but at the same time, I wouldn't be like super hyped. Like, wow, you know, this character is insane. So putting him in B tier. Lady Geist. So Lady Geist is a hero that has had a lot of problematic phases. She's had phases where she deals too much gun damage and is like too hard to kill. Right now, I think that they've kind of like, she's on the strong side of balance for sure, but I don't think she's like hugely problematic. I also think that she's a character that now has a very clear design. She is like basically a tanky damage dealer. Okay, she's like a tanky damage dealer that can be played kind of as a drain tank or as like a semi-carry type of hero. She has very clear weaknesses, like her mobility is very weak. Like she has no mobility, but if you get on top of her, she wins a lot of 1v1s, right? With life drain and her 3, which gives her damage amp, it's very hard to 1v1 her, and she's got her ultimate, which allows her to swap life, which makes her just hard to commit on. So basically all of her abilities work in tandem to make her hard to commit on. I think her bomb is a very generic spirit nuke, but there's nothing wrong with having a generic spirit nuke. Her gun, I think, feels good. I don't know how I feel about the new model of her gun. Well, new as in it's quite old at this point, but yeah. I think her design is cool as well. Like, I think her story and all that stuff, like that doesn't contribute much in my ratings, but I think it's cool. So to me, she's solid. Solid design. I think she's a well-designed character. There's like clear counterplay to her. She feels good to play, but at the same time, she's got a very like, she has an identity that is coherent. Her abilities work together. I don't think she's outstanding, but I think she's solid. I wouldn't be upset to have more heroes that have the same level of design as Geist. Now we've got the LASH. Now you guys already know what I'm gonna say before I say anything. Now, LASH is my favorite character in the game. Has been since basically 2 years. I think that the LASH has like a fan club, you know, like people love this character and for good reason. Like, first of all, his lore is S tier. His lore is just, he's an asshole. That's amazing. His backstory, that's amazing. His movement feels really good. His abilities have great synergy together, right? Like all the abilities work together. The only one that doesn't really have a lot of synergy with the other ones is Flog, but at the same time, Flog has a lot of synergy with the way that LASH wants to play. Right, so he kind of wants to be like in the mid-range and deal damage with all of his abilities. Now, I don't really love the way that LASH is being played right now, but I think from a design perspective, I think LASH is an easy S tier. Feels amazing to play. Great personality, great voice lines, great model. He has sparkles on his head. All of his abilities feel good to use for the most part. And I mean, the dopamine when you hit a big LASH ult, it is unmatched. So putting LASH S tier, I think that outstanding design. I think one of the best designed characters in the base game, like before they started adding more heroes. So yeah, obviously I'm biased. I'm a LASH main. I have 750 games on LASH, so I'm 100% biased. Okay, McGinnis. Okay, we can move on. Mina. All right, so Mina is a vampire that is pretty cool. She's got cool lore. She feels good to play. She uses bats. It's great movement. The bats feel amazing. The only thing that I can really like, and her abilities all work together, right? Love Bites gets people hurt. It gets them ready for Rake. Rake is more of the finisher, right? Her ultimate applies Love Bites. Also her Rake applies Love Bites. The only thing is, I don't know why melee doesn't apply Love Bites, right? I feel like melee should apply Love Bites. I feel like that's something that should happen. Now, we need to talk about the appearance of Mina. Now, she is a character that, you know, gets people to play the game in the sense that people really love her. They love the way that she looks, for better or for worse. You know, she is cosplay magnet, right? She's going to get the cosplays going. So, you know, at the end of the day, that is something to take into account. I've been playing a ton of Mina, and honestly, I have become what I hate. I used to hate Mina because this character was giga broken, and every time I played against it, I wanted to smash my monitor with my keyboard, very specifically. But now I've become a Mina player, and I love her. Look, I gotta be honest, I think I'm gonna keep playing Mina for a while. I actually like her a lot. I think that she actually has like, I think that she is a glass cannon that can do a lot of damage, but if she gets caught, she just dies. She's very hard to catch. She's not easy to catch, but if she gets caught, she just dies. And I think right now her balance is actually good, which she's been really hard to balance. Like she's been broken for most of her existence, but right now her balance is good. The umbrella feels incredible to use as well. Like that was a great addition that they made. So overall, I think Mina's an S tier. Let me just put her here. I think she's an outstanding design. I think people definitely play the game just because of Mina. I think her visual design is amazing. I think her voice lines are amazing. Like I basically think almost everything about Mina is amazing. The only things I would change is one, make melees apply love bites. I don't know why they don't. I think that just makes sense. Like Infernus applies afterburn with melee. Why can't they apply love bites? And other than that, I think it's good. Mirage. So I'm going to put Mirage in the tier before even saying anything. The thing about Mirage is like, okay, let's talk about Mirage's kit, right? We've talked about synergy and all that stuff, right? We've talked about, oh yeah, Mina's kit makes sense because you apply love bites, it gets them low, and then afterwards you rake them, right? Or all of your abilities apply love bites as well. Now with Mirage, his scarab is basically you put it on someone and it's like, yeah, you do no damage anymore. Have fun. Right, so Mirage's best attribute is that he makes other people not have fun, which to be fair, that's a pretty good attribute. I mean, we kind of all want to make other people miserable. And Mirage makes people not have fun, but I think his kit makes no sense. Like, okay, he's got a teleport that's global. Fine, sure, okay, global teleport. Why not? You know, you can put that on any hero and you can kind of make it work. Now, his 3, I think his 3 does have some synergy with Scarabs because his 3 is something that makes longer engagements make sense. So given Jin's mark, Mirage wants longer engagements, and Scarab does exactly that. If you fight Mirage for a long period of time, you are guaranteed to die. That's where he shines, right? He doesn't really have burst damage. He will kill you over, you know, 5 to 10 seconds. He will not kill you into in like 2 seconds like some other heroes. So those abilities make sense together. Now, I think the most frustrating part about this hero is quadruple tornado. Now, that is both a Mirage problem and a Echo Shard problem. But at the end of the day, I think that this hero, who has fun playing Mirage, like legitimately, I don't think there's a lot of people that have fun playing Mirage. Like maybe 2% of the player base, you know, there's some freaks out there. That's okay. You know, much love to you guys. Much love to the Mirage players. But I think this hero feels really lame. I think that the tornado needs to be looked at the most. Also, bullet evasion is like basically like completely uninteractive. The only answers to bullet evasion in the game are you've got 2 things, which are armor piercing rounds and lucky shot. And both of those items nobody wants to buy and they're terrible. So yeah, that's basically my opinion of Mirage. I think he needs to be looked at. I think Tornado is what he needs to be looked at the most. I think it's like way too free of an escape with double Tornado. It's like it gives invulnerability frames and allows him to teleport, you know, freaking insanely far. He can also Tornado while teleporting, by the way. He can teleport and cast Tornado. Like a lot of these things are just like, I don't like Mirage's design. I think he needs to be looked at. And I think that he has been changed so many times that it's proof that I don't know that they've, you know, come to the conclusion of what they want Mirage to be yet. Thematically, I think Mirage is cool. But gameplay wise, I think that like, I don't have a problem with his model, his voice lines, his lore, his animation. It's just, you know, I mean, his animations don't really have the sauce either, but it's not bad. But yeah. Now, Moe and Krill. Moe and Krill is a mole, and he is essentially like a disabler. I think that his design itself is fine, in my opinion. Like, I'm probably going to put him B tier. I think Moe is basically just a tank that gets in there, uses Scorn, disarms people, and he also has an ultimate that, you know, disables someone, but it also disables him, right? Like, yes, Moe ult is uninteractive in some ways, but it also stuns Moe. So I don't think it's that bad. So I think overall, B tier, just fine character design, like very simple archetype. Nothing too special about him. I think that they added some sauce that's nice. Like, for example, being able to use Sandblast in Burrow is cool. Being able to burrow in the tunnels is cool. Like, but overall, I think he's like just kind of meh, you know? He's fine. So yeah, that's my opinion on Moe. I don't have a lot to say. Paige. So Paige, I love Paige, so I am biased. I think Paige's abilities are really cool. And I think that they're fairly synergistic. The only ability that's not really synergistic with the rest of her kit is her shield, but it's mostly just she's a support type character. And I think her shield is kind of cool in the fact that you can shield multiple characters. And there's a little bit of sauce with her shield too. Like, you might not know, but if you have max shield, which is called plot armor, if you max it, you can shield multiple people, right? But if you don't have vision of people near you, you can actually shield yourself and it'll auto find them through the walls. So that's pretty cool. You know, that's like the type of stuff that is cool about the character. The dragon, I think, is cool. And I think that they've done a lot of work on the pathing and everything to make it feel good. At first, I think the dragon felt terrible. Like, it felt awful. But now I think the dragon's at a point where it feels okay. You know, the dragon's not like the best ability. The 3 has so much aura. Like, the 3 has so much aura. Like, when you use the 3 and you hit it on someone, it's like, it feels amazing to hit it. The ultimate, I think, is very unique in the sense that it's global. It's very hard to hit across the map, but if you do hit it across the map, you get like a level of excitement that is very, very nice. So I think that she's well designed, and also she has a clear identity, right? She's like a squishy hero that can cast spells from the backline, help your team with crowd control with her 3 and her 4. She can deal some damage with her dragon, and also on top of that, she can give shields. So she's a supportive backline character. Very clear design, very cool design, I think. I don't think she's outstanding, but I think she's a solid design. Like, I wouldn't have a problem having more heroes like Paige. She's got clear weaknesses as well. Like, she's extremely squishy, extremely easy to go on. She's like a victim hero. But yeah, like, I think overall her kit makes a lot of sense together. I like her a lot. So solid design. Okay, Paradox is a hero that's been very problematic in the history of Deadlock. Now, Paradox has basically been a hero that has been historically extremely broken, and now we're at a point where she's not broken. She hasn't been broken for a bit, but she was really, really broken for a long time. Now, building a hero around the concept of time is really cool to me. Like, I think that her design is like fucking dope. And she's definitely one of the heroes that has the most like sauce, so to speak, of the heroes of the original cast. Her abilities function great together. All of her abilities work together, right? Like, Carbine works in synergy with Wall. You can amplify the damage with it. Carbine allows you to hit swap. You can pulse grenade and then swap to keep them into the pulse grenade. And I think that she's got like a lot of synergy on her different abilities, and all of her abilities feel really good. And the combos you can do on this character are fucking awesome. Like, this character is dope. And so to me, this character is an easy S tier. I think she's like awesome, really cool visually, cool abilities, fun. And like, yeah, she can feel bad to play against, but so can every character in the game. So to me, she's an easy S tier. Pocket has so much potential, but they decided to give him the fart they decided to give them the fart of doom. I don't know why they decided to give Pocket the fart of doom. Honestly, like, Barrage, Cloak, and Satchel are amazing, and I love those abilities, and they're really cool, and the character is awesome. But then they gave them the fart of doom. I don't know why they did that, but honestly, like, Affliction, I cannot put a character with Affliction in S tier. I just cannot put a character with Affliction in S tier. I love everything about Pocket's design except Affliction. So just for that, I think that Pocket's design has so much sauce, so much potential, but Affliction to me makes Pocket an A tier character. That's really the main explanation I have. So I would love for them to re-explore their ultimate and see what they can do. Rem. Okay. Rem is interesting because I think a lot of people were afraid with Rem that it was going to be like a Yumi situation where you basically just like are AFK and you're listening to some Katy Perry and you're eating some cupcakes while your teammate plays the game. However, it's not like that at all. It's actually like Yumi done right, where yes, you have tag along. Yes, you can be, napping with your teammates while they control and you're basically taking a taxi, but the Little Helpers, I think, are some of the coolest abilities in the game. Like, Little Helpers is an amazing ability. I think Tagalong is also really fun to use. I think that the sleep, because the tunnels are awesome. The Little Helpers are like super like cool, creative. There's a lot of different options you can do with them. You can steal centers, you can shop, you can steal boxes. Like, the attention to detail is there. The only ability that I think is whatever is Pillow. And I still think Pillow is cool because it allows you to reduce the cooldown of all your other abilities, even if you hit them on troopers or neutrals. So it brings like a whole level of management of like, you always want to be hitting Pillow off cooldown on different things. I think that design-wise, I'm not going to talk balance-wise, just design-wise, I think Rem is outstanding. I think that, this little guy is so cool. And I think that the visual design and everything, like how small Rem is, the fact that he can go in the tunnels, like all of that stuff is just like really, really unique and awesome. All right, 7. 7 is, I think, a very basic hero that has been good ever since the history of the game. He's a hero that I recommend to new players. I think that he does have aura visually, and his visual design is pretty cool. His lore is pretty cool, but at the end of the day, I don't really think as a character he's that cool. To me, I think that 7 is like, basically, I would put him either B or A tier. I'm trying to think right now. I think that 7's kit has clear weaknesses, clear strengths. So I'm thinking it's an A. Like, I wouldn't be upset having more heroes like 7. I think that there could be more heroes like 7 in the game, like at the same level of design, and I would be totally okay. He definitely like has a place where he's like a fairly easy hero to pick up. There's still some, skill ceiling with him, right? But he fills a role that's very clear where he's the character that can farm like a ton. His ultimate is pretty cool, and people have gotten better at dealing with it. So most of his abilities are cool. Like, he's got a very like central theme of lightning, which I think is always cool. And yeah, I don't have a problem with his design. I think he's just a solid hero. And the aura that 7 has, like the lore and everything, is really cool, which definitely helps him. Shiv. Shiv is a character that has been so problematic ever since he's been added to the game. Basically, I feel like Shiv players are never happy. It's one of those things where he's like really cool, but also really problematic. But it's honestly mostly like balance-wise. It's not really design-wise. Like the only problem that I have with Shiv's design is really just bloodletting, but bloodletting can be balanced. Like for example, Shiv right now is not like OP. Overall, like I think Shiv's design is fine. I think his design is like solid. I don't know if I would put him outstanding. He might deserve an outstanding because he brings people to the game. I think that he's got a lot of aura, and like the voice lines are like, "You're dead," is like, and the right click movement is also like, you know what? The more I think about it, the more design wise, I think he's S tier, but balance wise, he's like D tier. Like he's always problematic. So like we're gonna ignore the balance and we're gonna put him in S tier because I think that he does have a lot of sauce, but like balance wise, he's a problem. Silver. Okay, Silver to me is like one of the, like when Silver was added, like obviously Silver was disgustingly broken with like a 20-second ultimate or whatever. But well, first of all, I cosplayed Silver, so I'm a little, you know, I'm a little biased, but I think Silver is like, I think that she's so fun to play. Like when you play her, you really feel like the Maroon song Animals. You know, you really feel like you're role playing. At the end of the day, like I think that she's a really, really, really good design. She technically has clear weaknesses. Like there's some balance issues, but I think that like as far as like the way the character feels, the way that the transformations feel, the way the abilities all work together, right? Like I think her 1 is kind of like just a random damage ability, but her 2 and 3 are like really synergistic. Even with her 1, right? You can make someone kind of like semi-immobile and then use your 1 on them to do a lot of damage, which then allows you to transform. And then your abilities and transformation also have a lot of synergy. Your leap getting on top of them, your 1, you've got a disarm to get in there. So I think all of her kit makes a lot of sense together. I think she's really fun to play. I think she looks dope. And, you know, I'm going to have to put her in, I think it's another S tier. Sinclair. So Sinclair, I think, is a character that has so much potential. And I know that Sinclair is a very passionate fan base. So they might not like what I have to say. But I think that the ultimate is awesome. Now, I don't know why the ultimate gives you so much cooldown reduction for the ability to use steal, but I think the ultimate is awesome. And it's a classic in MOBAs, right? Like Rubik is a classic. So I think the ultimate is cool. I think the bunny is probably the biggest problem I have with Sinclair. Like, I think that the assistant is also really cool, especially with the lore of like Sinclair, like Sinclair's lore and everything. The assistant makes a lot of sense, but the bunny is my biggest problem. The bolt, I know a lot of people like the bolt. I don't love the bolt, but at least it's better than a generic spirit nuke. So I think Sinclair is like fine. Like I think he's got a lot of potential, but I do feel like it is like underdeveloped. And I think Bunny's like really, really boring. But it does make sense thematically with like the fact that he's a magician and he turns people into a bunny. So like thematically, there's a lot of stuff that makes a lot of sense about Sinclair that I like, but I don't know why. I just kind of have like a feeling like I'm like, you know, kind of lacking a little something. So I'm putting him B. He's got a lot of cool stuff though, but that's just how I feel. I know a lot of people are going to disagree. Yeah, after revision, you guys are right that he can't be in the same tier as these other characters. After revision, we're putting him A tier. Because even though like there's something missing, it's true that he is a better design than most of these characters, probably. So he does have more sauce, so like we're gonna move him up a little bit. Venator. Now, I think is probably like the best execution of like a gun hero in the game. Before Venator, there wasn't really like a gun hero that people were like, oh wow, this gun hero feels really good to play. But I think Venator got a lot of people interested in playing gun heroes. Like, and he has like a full gun scaling build other than like his 3. I think his design is great in that way. I think his like voice lines, his visual design, everything are like amazing. His crossbow, like all of his abilities, I think feel really good. And so to me, Venator is like easy S tier. I think he's like really, really solid. Okay, Victor. Victor, I think, is a classic kind of like drain tank type character with 2 lives. His kit is pretty synergistic, right? He does have one thing that's interesting about Victor is that his kit kind of incentivizes him to not have a lot of health. And he's also like not very like, he tends to not be tanky in the sense that he can't really survive like huge amounts of bursts, but he's very good at dealing with sustain damage because he usually tends to have great sustain. So that part's interesting. He's got a second life, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I think it's fine. I think it's fine. And I think that his visual design and everything is really, really good. And I think his kit makes a lot of sense together, right? Pain Battery incentivizes you to take damage. Your 2 makes you take damage. Your 3 is just an aura of pain around you, right? And I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's just a tank that damages himself. And to me, he's like a very solid design. So I'm putting him in A tier. He does have some problems when it comes to balance here and there, where he's a hero that has very like fairly easy execution. So sometimes at lower ranks, he can be more of a problem. But I think he's cool. I'm putting him in A tier. Okay, Vindicta. I think Vindicta is a very, very solid sniper. I think that from a design perspective, I would say that if we compare her to the other sniper, she is a better design than Grey Talon, I think, in my opinion. Like, she's got clear weaknesses and she's got like a clear playstyle. Her fall off range actually makes sense. Her tether makes a lot of sense to catch people out in the open. Her snipe dealing more damage below 50%. And I think her abilities like feel good to use. Her lore is cool. Her visual design is cool. I think all of it makes sense together. I don't have any like huge problem with any one ability. Like Crow's maybe a little weird, but even then I think Crow's like really cool visually, and also like it makes sense. Like it applies debuffs. Like she applies a lot of debuffs. So overall, I think she's a solid design. Okay, Viscous. Viscous. Okay, so Viscous is I mean, okay. So in many ways, I think Viscous is cool. However, I've just had a problem. Okay, the problem I have with Viscous is not a design problem, it's a balance problem. I think, okay, so I don't love Splatter, but at the same time, thematically, I think Splatter makes kind of sense, right? He's like a goo creature and he like splatters some goo, and it's like, okay, sure, you know, makes sense. The cube is like, I think visually all of his abilities are really cool, and he just basically uses his goo to like make a bunch of cool abilities, and that's cool. I think that the movement possibilities and the skill ceiling of this character are insane. Like there's so many crazy things you can do with ball, so many crazy things you can do with punch, cube. Like the skill ceiling and the sauce possible of this character is really, really high. So despite my hates for this character, I'm gonna have to put him S tier, because I do think that he's genuinely like really good design. I just have a balance problem with him, where his save ability, like cube, is just too strong, too short of a cooldown, and splatter does too much damage. But I think that he does have sauce. Like I think this character is sick. Okay, Vyper. I'm putting Vyper in. Actually, I'm going to put her in Doesn't Feel Great. I'm putting her in Doesn't Feel Great. Same tier as Graves. Like, I feel like Vyper is like one of those characters when she's strong, like nobody has fun against her. She has like a very weird kind of play style. I think that like you have to kind of like slither on top of them. The dagger feels kind of like weird with the rest of her abilities. Like her kit is like kind of synergistic, where you hit multiple daggers and then you can venom and then you can ult. The fact that the venom goes through the petrify, I think is cool and synergistic. But I just feel like it doesn't feel great, and I think she's just kind of weird, like kind of a weird play style. At the same time, like she's unique in this. I like the fact that she uses slide as a mechanic. I think that's really cool. I think her passive is like awesome to make use. I love passives that make use of mechanics that are important in Deadlock. So having a passive that makes use of slide, I think is really cool. And she has a great VA, great lore. But yeah, I think that at the end of the day, I don't love any of her abilities, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So I'm putting her C. I don't think she feels great. Warden. So I think Warden is like very, very generic. It's time to change the world. Like there's not really nothing that stands out about Warden. I think Warden is like one of the most generic heroes in the entire game. So I think he's an easy B tier for me. He just does his thing, you know, like nothing special about him. His abilities are kind of cool, but like really nothing special. At the end of the day, like I love Warden, to be clear. I actually like playing Warden a lot, but I don't think that his design is like particularly great. I think he's just a very generic hero that, you know, gets in there, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's fine. He's a very straightforward hero, which I think is good to have in a game as well. So I'd be okay with having other heroes like Warden, but really nothing special. Okay, Wraith. So Wraith is infuriating when she says lifting. I think the cards are really cool. So before the card rework, I would have put Wraith B tier. Ever since the card rework, I think I want to put Wraith A tier, because I think the cards bring what was missing to the character. Like, I think the cards are really cool. The fact that you can, like, store jokers, the fact that you can make decisions of, like, you know, like, before fights, you can try to store jokers. You can play around which cards you have. Like, I think there's potential there. That's really awesome. So I'm putting her A tier. I think she's a solid design. She's a squishy character that outputs a shit ton of damage. She does have a teleport, yes, but it can be countered. And she's, like, a pretty standard, like, pretty solid, like, carry-type character. And she's a great aesthetic. Yeah, I love her aesthetic. All right, and Yamato. Last but not least, Yamato. Okay, Yamato Power Slash. Power Slash is an A tier ability. Crimson Slash is like B tier. It's a fine ability. Yamato Ultimate, you know, it's fine. It's kind of cool, like B tier or A tier. Yamato Grapple is F tier. Okay, so we're putting Yamato, just the grapple alone is making it so Yamato is D tier, because like this ability is some annoying chud ass stuff. So yeah, that's it. Just grapple, I'm putting her in D tier, needs to be looked at. Without grapple charges, I would have put her like B tier or like A tier maybe, but like just the grapple is like disgusting. Like grapple can have 6 charges. 6 charges. 3 without any charge items. How is that good design? Like that can't be allowed. If she didn't have grapple, I'd probably put her like A tier or B tier. It goes through 15 walls. It feels horrible to play against. It doesn't even feel fun when you're playing Yamato. That's the worst part about grapple, is while you're playing Yamato, you can't help but just laugh at the ridiculousness of what you're doing. Like, it doesn't even feel fun. I feel disgusted. I'm like, I just followed this guy through 15 walls. You know, I just pressed 2, you know? So it's like, it doesn't even feel good to use. Like, you just feel bad for that guy. Cause like that guy's like fucking corner boosting, like dashing everywhere, you know, using everything. And you're like, I pressed 2, you know? So, and then you go through 15 walls. So, all right. So that was it for the tier list segment.